Dear Sensei, thank you very much for your visit to Ukraine and for agreeing to our conversation. So, let's start. Tell me please, how you came to Aikido and what Aikido is now for you in your life?
Aikido, for me, is just came to my life. It's almost as if Aikido chose me rather than I chose Aikido. At each stage, each situation, such as start to joining the school, my case, which I haven't seen in any other students, I didn't go to the school to start Aikido. I was visiting the school just to see the Aikido because I was going to study theater arts in America. So I want to see what is Japanese tradition prior to that. And by chance, by the strong recommendation by the instructors, I have to sign up. And Senshusei also by some accidents, I end up doing Senshusei. And even with Jireshi, I started with a 2-year contract, but it just didn't happen to be like that. So in each steps, even Sengenkan, it came to me. When I quit Yoshinkan, Sengenkan came to me. I tried to say no, but situation didn't allow me to do that. So it feels like Aikido came into my life. And from the very first meeting with Aikido, first time in my life, got this feeling that it was a decision of God. And now Aikido in my life is a missionary. I have a mission to achieve something through Aikido, which I think is to develop the system Aikido for a young generation and spread the art of the philosophy of harmony so that this Aikido can really make good things in the society internationally. That's what it is.
Today, classes of MMA and other sports of the combat type become very fashionable. Do you think Aikido should match the fashion or should preserve conservatism and adhere to old traditions?
I think it is very important to first of all understand what is, from a strategic point of the martial arts point of Aikido, in what purposes this art was developed. For example, in the book it said it was practiced by only the high rank samurais who usually stayed by the lord, and it was a security techniques in the Seiza position. That was the original. So, and after that, Ueshiba Sensei modified this art to create this new martial arts called Aikido, based on this Daitori Aikijutsu, in order to create the Misogi practice, Misogi, which means like purification ceremony, and it's a practice of achieving yourself to become a part of the universe or something like that, And in that sense, I think it's very important, first of all, for us to understand what is Aikido. And talking about, the fashion and modern, popular art, I really think that the teaching method of Aikido has to change. It depends on the time. For example, in olden time, this was secret techniques, so it was taught by only the master and the disciples, none. It's one by one teaching method. In Yoshinkan, have a unique history that it was taught by the officers who have zero experience of Aikido, and you have to be able to teach. So the teaching method is very much influenced by this situation. That is why Yoshinkan have a correct 95 angle, pivot in Tenenkoni, or each movement by the counts, hands position, chest level, forehead level, shoulder level. So it reflects the history of Yoshinkan. But I think the nature of Aikido is to, through the repetition of the kata form, you will understand the principle of the movements. You know, for that, I don't think it's correct interpretation to change the form to a modern fighting, style or anything like that. I think it's more important to deepen the understanding of the purpose of the movement so that you can learn the principle of the arts. And if you use this principle for the fighting arts, that's understandable. But I think a lot of people in Yoshinkan style, I don't know other style, but try to change the form to make it more practical. Yeah. And I think it's not Aikido's way.
Do you think it is possible to develop a club or Aikido federation as a business, or have all the same features?
I think, any it's a very rough way to speak, any subject can be presented as a business. And, but I don't see much of a good example, but I think personally, we're talking about this, any subject, I think value is the most important things. And if you pursue the true values of this context, I mean the subject, this would eventually be appreciated by people, and people start buying these values, So I personally don't think it's I think it's to spread the true quality of this art. If you make it business, the true quality would never be passed to the people. This is my thinking. Yeah.
What does the student-teacher's relationship mean to you? What kind of relationship should it be in terms or martial arts?
Teacher of the art is particularly this martial arts. It has been taught, not just like techniques, but also the attitude and manners and discipline was a very good, important part of all this learning process. So, teacher must be the right, officially appointed instructor who has been admitted by the master, mentally and physically, both technically. And in that sense, it's not only about learning the techniques, but it's also very important. The correct attitude has to be given to the students, and the students also have to be. There is a difference terms between students and disciples. Disciple is a person who becomes an instructor, successor of the art, and these people particularly has to be chosen correctly, or else, this would mislead a lot of students in the wrong directions. And the students also require to be a very humble and pure personality, so that one can learn and observe the teaching from the master correctly.
Name please 5 main, in your opinion, qualities what bring up Aikido in people.
I really think not just as Aikido, but always in any categories or any subject, the best student is a person who has no ego, very pure intention. This comes first, and I think this has always connected. It's connected with each other. A pure heart and open heart and modesty and enthusiasm towards the love of the art and things like that. Yes.
What do you think is missing in the development of Aikido in Ukraine, in the world?
I cannot distinguish this is only for Ukraine or the world or even Japan, I mean, I think to me it's all same. There are people who are really trying to, even in Japan, who really trying to develop with a very pure intention, and there are people who develop their egos through Aikido. But this sort of characters exist in many different fields, not just Aikido. And I think, not only modern, but in the past or even in the future, this quality exists in the human mind. It never changes.
You do a lot of seminars around the world. What advice would you give to Aikido instructors? What do you need to work on?
I would say I try to participate as much as a seminar of good instructors and try to learn from it and try to use it for the good purpose, good sake. That's all I can say.
Many amateurs are concerned about the fact that Aikido techniques don't work in a street fight. What can you say about it?
Honestly speaking, I have myself never have an experience using Aikido on the street, on the real situation. However, because of my position, as an instructor teaching a lot of students all over the world, instructors all over the world, a lot of stories come from the person or the instructor, who had to use Aikido in the real situation. They said Aikido very works on the real situation. But mainly the impression I got is not to attack people, but to avoid the attacks or take down your opponents who try to attack you. One example is, being attacked by more than several people. According to what I know, I won't say the name, but more than 10 people attacking this person. And he was not very well at the time, maybe third kyu or second kyu. In Aikido, and this is also practitioner of karate, but he said if I tried to do the karate, it was impossible. But thanks to Aikido, only for short terms of practice, he could survive the situation. And another thing is like one of the, I'll just say the school, but in Malta Republic, Raymond Kutaro Sensei and his right assistant Godwin Sensei. They professionally work at the prison, correctional facility as officers, and they use Aikido. They're in a situation they have to, manipulate people to, from the prisoners' resistance, and then they said, Aikido works tremendously well. And Raymond Sensei when he was young, he was the first black belt holder in Malta, of the judo in Malta, very strong in judo. He said Aikido works much better than judo. And he himself was, it's a personal record, but he was from age of 18 for quite some times. He was a personal bodyguard and security appointed by the military of Malta to Prime Minister Mr. Mentor, very famous in Malta. And, he knows about security and everything. He said Aikido works the best. So that's what I can say.
What's the difference between Sengenkan from traditional Yoshinkan?
Sengenkan, this dojo was a former Yoshinkan dojo, and this Sengen name comes from the shrine of Mount Fuji. Mount Fuji, of course, it's a symbol of Japan, And this Mount Fuji was protected by a shrine called Asama Jinja. Asama, if you read phonetically in Chinese, you call Sengen. Okay, and then in the place of building a long time ago, Takayama family has been protecting this area for 400 years as old samurai family. And inside their territories, there are several shrines and temples inside. And when the Tokyo metropolitan city decided to build big street called Yamanote Street over the area. They have to remove all the shrines into their territories. They have to, but the Sengen shrine has a big mountains reflecting Mount Fuji. They could not put them into their territories, and they have to remove to different places. And the master of Takayama family during that time, which is a father of present owner of the dojo now, Mr. Takayama, felt so bad, so he kept this name Sengen for his dacha and for his they use it. So after Yoshinkan left this dojo, present boss Takayama Sensei tried to renovate this dojo into an office, business office. But then, when he was removed everything, tatami, everything, and he was sitting by himself, he felt all of a sudden struck by this strange feeling that he was not supposed to destroy this place because this dojo was a dream of his father. And what was his father's dream to build this dojo is he wanted to create a place where he can invite a lot of foreign people from different countries to study the art of Aikido in this dojo, and these young foreigners would teach their culture and language to the children of Japan, so that they understand a different culture, they appreciate the different values, and these children grow up, they spread all over the world, and they start work, help become a bridge between Japan and that was his dream, and for that dream, he asked his schoolmate, Gozo Shioda Sensei, to open a second dojo of Yoshinkan in this place. The first dojo in Kogane, but due to the lack of students and business crisis, they shut down. So this has become the last dojo, Kacho Gozo Shioda. Okay, and based on these histories, when I was asked to resume dojo here, SSA and all the people talked about it, and they decided to put the name Sengenkan. So my, career as a Sengenkan instructor started from, conversation between myself and Takayama Sensei. He asked me to, help this because this is his father's dream, and my, purpose is to make this dream come true. I want to connect the Sengenkan dojo with a lot of students from all over the world, international students, to study the art of Aikido at my school, and these students would teach the culture and language to my kids, so that these children grows, learn Aikido and culture from different countries, so they can, spread all over the world. And I think this is the difference between the Yoshinkan and Sengenkan.
How do you think? Why Yoshinkan school broke up in Japan into several separate areas and private dojo?
Everything happened with a reason, and I think this is a destiny. The fact that a year before I, leave and Chida says leave this dojo, I have already before that I have already decided to stop my Aikido career and Yoshinkan before things. And surprisingly, and the following year, says left dojo and Chida decided to leave. So it just happened quite naturally. And main cause, I think, of course we have, but deep cause is it was meant to happen. Yoshinkan was falling apart mentally, and after 10 years of Kajumo Shioda, I think all the instructor wants to be independent too.
Do you think anyone can do Aikido, or you need to have a certain character or any special skills?
I would say anyone can do Aikido, but it reflects the character of each person, of course. Not just like Aikido, but any subject, any art, the same. And I would say, the art has to be handed down to the person who has a suitable character to be a master.
At what age would you advise children to start classes? What does Aikido teach children?
It depends, of course. I mean, depends. If you talk about Aikido, I would say 8 years would be the perfect for them. Yes, because Aikido move is very complicated and the technique is very difficult. So, but you can teach seiza, bowing, and balance, and disciplines, and ukemi for start from age of 4 or 5. That's possible too. That's a basic, and it's very good for children to play on the mat, rolling, and focus and change focus. This sort of practice you can do. Now, talking about Aikido technique, 8 years old would be the best.
Sensei, can we say that Aikido is a style, a strategy of life?
I think, my sensei told me Aikido should be the same as life itself. And Aikido training, which is executed on a mat, this should affect your personality and your action on the real life. And Aikido, you always face yourself, face with you challenge your ego. You have to, always listen to your seniors, pay respect. It requires a lot of efforts and patience as well. And this, if you develop on that this aspect, this would definitely teach you what's important in real life. So I would say Aikido is the life. And also talking about strategy, it is two strategies. It's both same, I think. How to keep distance. How to place yourself so that it won't create any conflict. In ancient time, people used to say that the greatest master always be more careful than usual person.
Sensei, can you say some interesting stories from your Sensei course?
Interesting history. Okay, people think that the Sensei is an instructor course. Yes, it was an instructor course in a sense that the police officers, only practice Aikido for 1 year and learn techniques and teaching method and some self-defense, bring back to their squadron and teach the whole department of police. The idea is to spread the art of Aikido because they think, during that time, Tokyo Metropolitan Police think that Aikido really helps the officers. Particularly the women police officers in police academy, it was mandatory. All the officers, lady officers, must practice Aikido. Because Aikido was designed so that you don't really rely on your physical power. This also have a taisabaki. Whether it's work or not, it depends on the level, of course, of each person's. But Aikido have a technique against knife attack, bokken attack, two people attack, grab attack, all sorts of aspects. And not just that, but for their services, if people see officers attacking with a weapon to a person, it doesn't look good. It's better just controls, manipulating the enemy. It looks much better, less aggressive. And with judo, if the enemy have the weapon, it's quite difficult too. So Aikido was a great presentation for the police, and that is why they start doing the Sensei course. But from what I understand, if you look at the history of this Sensei course, it was it was more like not the instructor course, but it was more like creating a special force. So a lot of foreigners come with a different idea to become an instructor, but this is, as you know, in the angry white pajamas, it's really pushes you at the first 1 month. Try to, idea is to, kick you out, and those who have a very strong spirit would stay. So 1 month is going to be a very crazy course, and it's making a special force. It's all mental part, So they really push you to do a lot of back break falls, push-ups, running, bunny hops, and all that, So one of the very interesting story is that we're totally somewhat mental, crazy at the first course because we've been shouted and all that. I found myself stood up in Kawai at midnight sleeping, Or my friend was doing sit-ups, but it's a sleeping work. And this sort of, I don't know, it was a quite interesting story.
Please tell us what the main tasks of Uchideshi. Perhaps this will help to better understand the relationship between teacher and student.
Apparently, Uchideshi, during that time when I joined the Sengenkan, was the chief instructor, was Inoue Sensei. So I served Inoue Sensei the most, and I realized that the true Uchideshi training happens not in the dojo, but when I accompany my sensei as a Uchideshi, Inoue Sensei in this case, you always have to think about how to make my sensei comfortable, how to open doors, how to prepare the rooms, no matter how tired you are, all the priority was sensei, and this was a true training of martial arts and the meaning of Uchideshi. You will learn how to think things for sensei, and you will learn how to read his mind, and this ultimately related to the practice of reading someone's mind. It's like a fight every time, so it's like when you draw a sword against your enemy, if you're high level, you can see what he wants. That's the most important things I have learned.
Are you happy that you are doing Aikido?
Yes, I think I am very happy, yes. Why? Why am I happy? You see, long time ago, my dream was to travel all over the world to see all different things. And when I, asked to become Uchideshi, I thought it is, you go to this small box of room and, you'll never be out of this one, like a jail in a prison. That's my image. But then, after I keep doing Aikido, and this big box started to take me to many different places, and they made my dream come true. And this is very unexpected. I thought, again, I live all long life in this small box of dojo, and like in prison. But actually, I did my best in what I can do, honestly speak purely. But this, the dojo started taking me to many. It helps to make my dream come true. Another thing is, I feel like this is a work that was given by the God, by God. So I feel very, content in that sense.
Большое спасибо, Сенсей, за нашу дискуссию. Я уверен, что многим наш диалог дал ответы на все вопросы.
Thank you very much, Sensei, for our discussion. I am sure that many of our dialogue gave answer to questions. Thank you for your experience and open heart. I hope this is not our last interview, and together we will help to development of Aikido in Ukraine and the world by us example. Thanks again.
Еще раз большое спасибо.